Urban. Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations, gentlemen. I thought I would just start down here and then move this way, if that's okay. Judge, what is the rational basis test?
Senator, I believe the rational basis test is going to be one of your least stringent tests, and whether a law has a rational basis for the outcome intended or the governmental interest that you're trying to obtain.
Okay. What if the legislature or the Congress, as the case may be, doesn't list a reason? What if they just pass the statute?
Senator, I would submit that probably happens many times, and I think it's the role of the court when determining such matters as a definition. I think it's the role of the court to determine whether the usage of that statute, using its wording in plain meaning, whether the usage of that statute is going to reach the governmental interest that you hope is obvious, but sometimes you have to determine.
So you just create the basis, the reason for the statute?
I don't think that you create it, Senator, but I don't think that most statutes, to be honest, I don't think that they tell you what they are trying to accomplish so much as they say, this is the law. For example, possession of a narcotic that's going to say it's illegal to possess this. We determine if there's a rational basis that forwards the ends of the governmental interest.
Well, how do you determine if there's a rational basis? Do you look at the statute or do you look behind the statute?
What happens when a law has no reason, and the court supplies one anyway? This exchange pulls the curtain back on how constitutional review actually works. A judge is asked a simple question: what is the rational basis test? The answer sounds harmless until the follow-ups begin. The rational basis test is described as the least demanding form of constitutional scrutiny. If a law is rationally related to a legitimate government interest, it survives. Simple enough. But then comes the real question. What if the legislature never explains the reason at all? The response is calm and revealing. Most statutes don't explain themselves. They simply declare, this is the law. So who decides what the law is trying to accomplish? The court, not by guessing intent, not by reading legislative history, but by looking at the words of the statute and deciding whether the court can imagine a rational reason it might serve a government interest. Now the twist. A fictional law is proposed. Anyone with a college degree doesn't need to take a driver's license test. No protected class. No fundamental right. So what applies? Rational basis review. Could such a law be upheld? Yes, if a court can conceive a rational justification.
Let's suppose that a legislature passes a statute that says if you have a college degree or a more advanced degree, you don't have to take a driver's license test. And let's suppose that assume for a second that the federal court has jurisdiction over a challenge to the constitutionality of that test, of that statute, rather. What test are you going to apply, Counselor?
Senator, that would be a classification that doesn't turn on any sort of protected characteristic, and so it would be a rational basis test that would apply in that instance.
You don't see any suspect classification?
No, Senator.
You don't see any fundamental right?
No, Senator.
Okay, what if the legislature didn't provide, so you would use the rational basis test?
I would, Senator.
And you would uphold that statute?
I think there could be some rational basis that a court could conceive of to justify that statute, and rational basis is not.
So you would invent the rational basis, the reason for the statute?
That's generally how the test has been applied by the Supreme Court and by lower courts, and as a district court judge, I would be bound by that Supreme Court precedent.
Okay. Judge.
Even if the justification feels invented, the key admission lands hard. That's how the test has been applied. And lower courts are bound to follow it. This is not about one law. It's about how power is justified after the fact, and how easily a statute can survive as long as someone somewhere can come up with a reason. If this exchange made you pause, you're not alone. This is constitutional law unfiltered.